As some of you may be aware, the Next Mutation Turtles crossed over with the 6th season of Power Rangers. You know, that one where they were in space. This season of Power Rangers tried to do a bit more on the serialized storytelling, and it's incredibly jarring that this crossover with the Ninja Turtles takes place during the 3rd and 4th episodes in. So things are really still just being set up and established, and that's really not the ideal time to throw another show's characters into the mix. So let me be honest here, Power Rangers was not a big show for me growing up. I watched the occasional Mighty Morphin episodes, but it really wasn't something I kept up with. However, at this point, I have seen every episode of Power Rangers that led up to this and the entire In Space season, and Power Rangers can just be a lot sometimes, man.
This is more than a restoration of your range of powers. Your new power coins come with new, more advanced powers!
I think my favorite stuff is mostly the earlier seasons, as it is very amusingly camp.
I don't believe it.
Or Billy gotta be! That gives me an idea!
Rita's monstrous Rumblebee.
I kinda wish Power Rangers was also a bit better about doing character-driven stories, and I feel like you got a bit more from the original Rangers in that regard. But even then, once Billy and Kimberly were the only original Rangers left, I was begging the show to give them some kind of conversation discussing that, and how Billy doesn't really trust Tommy because he's a bit of a tool. Also, one of the coolest things I found with Power Rangers was the fact that the cast could actually do their own unmorphed fight scenes. That was something you got to see a lot more during the first seasons of the show. Once new Rangers started getting added to the team, they really did not do a great job introducing them. They'd just kind of be there, and you'd barely know anything about them, which is an issue that continued on to In Space. Like, after half a season of Turbo and the full season of In Space with Carlos, all I really knew about him was he was easily manipulated, he liked soccer, and Adam was a much better Black and Green Ranger than him. And it took a long time for me to like Adam, as he didn't get to do a lot for a while, and Johnny Young Bosch was very green in the figurative sense when he started this show, and it wasn't until he was literally green that you got more personality-wise out of him. So yeah, the majority of this In Space team became Power Rangers halfway through Turbo, where Zordon just suddenly tells the Rangers that they've outlived their usefulness and they can go die, and these weirdos standing around smiling are their replacements.
As each Ranger reaches your stage of life, it becomes our duty to set them free.
Alpha and I are honored to participate in this historic transformation.
It's a really creepy scene, honestly. It comes off like some kind of weird cult thing, and it's not a great way to transition to this new team. But hey, at least the Brady Bunch kid can stay on the Turbo team. You know, the one that probably shouldn't have been a Ranger in the first place, but Zordon is an idiot, and the one Justin replaced, Rocky, literally threw himself off the team by missing a kick. The most dignified of exits. Little Boy Blue got the boot though once the Power Rangers ditched the cars for spaceships and they added Andros, who's a human that grew up on a different planet, which explains his skunk hair, maybe? I don't know.
What is it?
It's a surfboard. What planet are you from?
He also knows the Force, so he uses his powers for important things like putting hot sauce in Bulk's milkshake.
Ah, the bulky! I'm starving! My lunch.
Nothing is accomplished here. Nothing is accomplished here. Nothing is accomplished here. Waste of time.
Did you do that with the milkshake?
Sorry, but what's a milkshake?
Andros must have trained with Master Yoda, because apparently Dagobah does exist in their world.
We're gonna go check out a planet in the Dagobah system. We'll be back maybe a couple hours.
Power Rangers In Space is kind of the refresh this series needed at this point, and is way better than Turbo, with half-assing it Tommy, who barely even wanted to show up anymore. Now the Rangers are a low-rent Star Trek crew. They're almost the Space Rangers, really, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they ran into Clint Howard on their ship.
Wow. You guys gotta try this.
With them evolving the show a bit like this, it became increasingly odd when they just fall back to doing the same old things. Like, even though now they're a space crew, they'd fly back to Earth and go to high school again for a few episodes. This really just did not fit at all what was going on anymore, and they just abruptly dropped that. They also redressed Ernie's juice bar into the surf spot so they could have those similar scenes again, but this is another element they just abruptly drop. Bulk and Skull are still around, but they go missing for large chunks of in space. They're mostly dinking around with some useless old scientist man to waste time whenever they do appear.
Are you sure you're a world-renowned scientist?
Nothing is accomplished here. Nothing is accomplished here. Nothing is accomplished here. Waste of time.
There is a good moment with them attempting to protect the Rangers' identity at the end of this season, but I really wish there had been some kind of story build-up to this. Largely, Bulk and Skull's little side stories have little to nothing to do with the Rangers anymore whenever they do randomly appear. The Next Mutation Turtles only show up at the very end of the first episode in which they appear, Save Our Ship. The main villain of this season, Astronema, decides she needs to get serious, so she switches from a purple wig to a black one to play with her action figures.
I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. Good!
Astronema tells Elgar to summon the turtles in a sequence that is obviously inspired by the 87 Turtles intro, which I enjoyed and immediately seems to say that the Power Rangers know Ninja Turtles better than their own show, sadly enough. By the way, this ugly shit Elgar was a minion of the last major villain, Divatox. He gets added to the new cool Astronema's lineup for absolutely no good reason.
A really big mistake!
What are you doing here?
Elgar is just there to be there. This Turtles crossover is actually one of the few times he even leaves Astronema's ship. This is part of that weird Power Rangers mentality of hold on to something from previous seasons with no plan to ever use them again in a meaningful way. You know, much like Babu and Squatty Appleseed after Lord Zed shows up, and then Galdar and Rito after that. The same thing is true, really, of Rita and Zed and Zeo when they're just wasting everyone's time trying to fix their RV on the moon.
But conserve your wrath, my dear.
That's right, Sadie. I'd better pace myself.
Oh, lovers on the moon.
Yeah.
I want to make this clear too, it's not that I hate Power Rangers or these characters even still being around, I just wish there was a payoff. Power Rangers just sometimes loves to not pay shit off. I mean, remember Demetria's twin sister?
You have a sister.
A sister?
A twin sister.
Can it be?
And hell, in Save Our Ship, right before the Turtles are summoned, Andros lies to Ashley about doing some plot development with her.
You teach me pool, and I'll give you some pointers on telekinesis.
Deal.
Oh, and Venus shows off a new power of hers, being able to walk on top of holes, almost like they're fake or something.
Anybody care to guess what just happened?
Someone's up to no good. No good.
So, the Next Mutation Turtles in this crossover have different voices and suit actors than in their actual show, which is a bit awkward. As the Next Mutation show is made in Vancouver and Power Rangers was in California, it would have been too much for Saban to bother with. Which really isn't surprising, because Power Rangers was kind of too cheap to want to pay their actors decently even after the show took off. Which of course led to some awkward exits to never-ending peace conferences and such.
Zordon, we can't go to the peace conference. Not now. There has to be another way.
Ian Petrella, who did the puppeting for Michelangelo in this crossover, actually commented on my first Next Mutation video, which was super cool. He mentioned how rushed and poorly planned the production was, so no one was able to practice with the animatronic heads or make sure the lines matched the mouth movements well.
You want a piece of me?
Which is a shame because he really did want Michelangelo's personality to come through in what he was doing.
Donnie, what'd you do?
I didn't do zip. So, just how fast can this ship go?
Now, the different voices are quite jarring, though I think Mikey's is the best. However, it's clear they're going for an impression of Townsend Coleman's Michelangelo from the 87 show instead of matching the Next Mutation.
I never doubted your existence for a minute, Miss Yellow Ranger.
Astronema, the Princess of Evil?
Why does Venus know about space villains?
And a very hot princess.
You're going to destroy the Power Rangers.
Hello?
By the way, this is just a thing they'll do sometimes with Astronema. They'll seriously play bum 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 after some of her lines or actions.
Take this.
Great, yeah, thanks. I'll be right over here.
So I'll say it. Goodbye. How about if I destroy you?
However, I guess at least they aren't playing goat noises.
You work for me.
I don't think so.
The Power Rangers are just pretend, comic book.
Considering the Turtles are the ones who actually originated from comic books, this line would have made more sense in reverse. Also, it's not like Astronema pulled the Turtles from another dimension or anything. All she told Elgar was to pull them from New York.
Lock saddle lasers on New York City.
New York City?
And considering the Power Rangers are a very publicly known thing since they destroy about half of Angel Grove almost every week in Zord battles, it'd be kinda hard for the Turtles not to hear about that if they're in the same world. But at least this does give Astronema something to overact to. She seems to really enjoy her overblown expressions. I'll give Melody Perkins, who plays Astronema, credit though. She got better as the series went along, and really, when you land the role of a Power Rangers villain, you probably first think you need some Rita Repulsa energy.
I can't believe they beat us back!
And while Rita is probably the most fun villain the show ever had, Astronema is one of the more interesting ones, as there was more complexity to her, given she was Andros' sister, and they gave her an arc, complete with her turning into Astronema of Borg.
It's me, Andros.
And after this pointless chit-chat, she just mind controls the Turtles super easily. You'd think she could just use this power over and over again on the Rangers directly or the people around them, but no. Meanwhile, Andros is showing the team how to use their space surfboards, and sadly enough, they don't use this Japanese stock footage anywhere near the extent that the Next Mutation used their damn vehicle stock shit. But, of course, you still get plenty of that with the Zord sequences. Also, I can't be the only one who thought of this with the Power Rangers morph pads in this season.
I think I'm gonna blow your fuses!
Aim for the flat top!
Just as Flat Top is about to zap the Rangers to hell, the Ninja Turtles beam in and deflect the blast. You know, in typical Ninja Turtles fashion.
You want Rangers? You gotta go through Turtles.
So even though Flat Top was apparently about to deal a serious blow to the Rangers, this brilliant Astronema plan has the mind-controlled Turtles stopping that.
It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles!
I guess Ashley knew the Turtles were real. This ain't no comic book, because if it was, it'd probably be a better crossover. The Turtles somehow grab Flat Top's Electro Ball and Kamehameha it around until Venus soccer balls it into Flat Top, and he dies.
As for me,
But how did you get here?
I guess that's a good question.
How'd you know we needed you?
Well, we good guys gotta stick together, right?
This is a great plan. Send the Turtles there to murder the guy who is already giving the Rangers a hard time and give them no plausible explanation for how they got there.
Don't you think it's a little too coincidental that they showed up right when we needed them?
Lighten up, Andros. They're on our side.
This, of course, convinces TJ because he's probably the sharpest Ranger they've ever had since Rocky. They've got a pretty bad track record for Red Rangers who blew themselves later on.
We're gonna go check out a planet in Degable.
They beam the Turtles up to the ship, which is something they can easily do depending on the episode. Other times, someone is in trouble and they seemingly can't just do this.
Whoa, pizza! Now this is fine dining!
Why do the Power Rangers have pizza in their tube transformation room?
Are you spying, Andros?
The ship's computers seem to like to talk a lot more in these early episodes of In Space. Guess they didn't need it blabbing as much once they had Zane around.
Hey!
Those were long stem roses.
Well, you're late.
I wouldn't have been late if you wouldn't have sent any monsters. Can't we talk about this?
Put a cork in it, Zane.
Donatello immediately starts messing with the ship, which we find out is powered by mutagens, so I guess it makes sense he knows what to do here. Which is just snip a couple of wires, and that completely changes the computer's AI.
I've been certified turtleified.
We know we aren't on the Next Mutation anymore when Leo actually pulls his sword on Andros. Sure, he somehow screws it up even though he has it right at Andros' neck, but the fact he tried is nice. The Turtles lower the shields, which I assume TJ showed them how to do, and invite Astronema and friends over, though they need to be a little more careful around this fragile mega ship. After easily stealing the ship, Astronema calls up her boss, Dark Spectre, who I guess just has a giant laptop floating in front of him in space in order to do these video calls. They make a huge deal out of this Dark Spectre and have every other villain who's ever been on the show be scared of him.
Dark Spectre himself.
Dark Spectre! Oh, in that case, we just love your plan!
He gets taken out easily by another villain shooting a missile at his back. The Power Rangers never take him on. Real fart to a finish there. But hey, at least I guess he didn't get melted by the evil rays of dying Zordon or turned into a weird prepster like Lord Zed and Rita. Yes, really.
Crush them with their own Megazord.
We only have 4 Rangers.
Somehow that stops me from talking even though you aren't actually covering my mouth. Wait, did they tie the Rangers up with active cords from the ship connected to the warp drive? Were we supposed to understand that? Of course! The Dagobah system!
Dagobah system.
Well, hope this doesn't mess any important systems up. The Rangers escape on a shuttle, and Astronema tries to kill them with overacting, but as giant as her faces are, they unfortunately don't reach across the vacuum of space.
What is that?
You're asking a turtle who lives in a sewer to explain a cosmic event?
Reverse polarized, veer away! What are you doing?
We passed out just thinking about trying to get on your acting level.
Donatello, use the sensors to locate the shuttle. Venus, change course.
Hold on to your horses, little missy.
What the devil? This isn't status reports!
We don't work for you anymore.
Nah, can't do that again. In fact, Astronema is apparently just completely overthrown now that the random space butthole unbrainwashed the turtles.
Deca, self-destruct the megaship.
Excellent! We got our own spaceship!
The ship will self-destruct in 60 seconds.
Oh yeah, we did hear her say self-destruct right in front of us. Luckily for Astronema, the ship decided to wait a minute for her to leave though. However, I'm unsure as where she's supposed to have beamed out to. Just kidding, no one dies in space. Carlos can even take little girls to beam at the WWF Superstars arcade game and then blackmail them out into space for some surfboarding, and it's completely fine. Also, who knew it was so windy in space? The Power Rangers have landed on planet slightly tinted blue California, and Astronema immediately catches them. Somehow.
I can't remember.
Focus. Let it come to you.
This is the only hint at Venus having any kind of special powers in this crossover. But we are also reminded again that this is absolutely not the Next Mutation when Donatello manages to stop the self-destruct after this instead of complaining that Venus tried to help him with her magic to concentrate, to which the Turtles all agree they should throw her down the morph tube, and then Leo says the new way is for the ship to explode because it's a human problem, and they die.
Need a hand?
Oh no, more trouble.
Take it.
What?
The green machine has gone clean.
I could explain properly that we were brainwashed, but acting sinister for a second and not being clear is the best approach.
I believe you this time.
I don't know why. Guess I'm pretty gullible. That TJ's been rubbing off on me.
Destroy them all!
So, without a doubt, this is the best part of the episode since you finally have the Turtles and Power Rangers properly teamed up and fighting together. And this is probably also the best fight the Next Mutation Turtles ever have. It's amazing at this point to have them in a battle and not be bombarded by stupid sound effects.
Let's kick some shell!
And Michelangelo is not brain dead? Who the hell are these turtles?
Power Ranger Ninja Turtles!
Oh, is that who they are? Thanks.
None of you has seen the last of me.
I thought you guys were on.
On her side?
How could we fight against ladies as pretty as you two?
We good guys gotta stick together.
Oh, that's convincing, considering you said that when you were brainwashed as well. And still, no one bothers to just flat out explain what happened, so obviously that makes TJ immediately lower his guard again.
May I?
That'd be great.
Sorry you guys get mixed up with Astronomer.
It was a great chance to get out of the sewer and see the universe.
No, that is not the new way. These are not the Next Mutation Turtles. They would have been upset that this took them away from laying around on the floor.
Hey, and if you're ever in New York, hey, why don't you pop your head in our sewer?
Yeah, we won't be doing that.
There's something I really would like to do.
Name it.
To die in the vacuum of space and do some real shitty screening, dude.
And there you go, the only time these turtles ever utter anything about the cowing of a bunga. As goofy and campy as Power Rangers is a lot of the time, it's quite clear that there was more care on this series than the Next Mutation. And this is sadly one of these Ninja Turtles' best outings. Really, the closest they got in their own show was the first 2 episodes. After that, it rapidly fell apart. Power Rangers did have a bit of an issue with taking plots very seriously pretty often, but by In Space, they were trying a bit more at times, and it makes a huge difference. And it really highlights how poorly the Next Mutation was at handling any kind of tension. The Turtles also aren't at each other's throats constantly. This is the first time since East Meets West Part 1 where the Next Mutation Turtles were in a battle that wasn't littered with idiotic sound effects. It's incredibly pathetic that Power Rangers in Space treated the Ninja Turtles with more respect than their actual series did. The biggest idiot of the episode was Astronema. Every part of her plan was stupid. Having the Turtles stop Electro Flat Top, not giving the Turtles a reason to have been there, not killing 4 of the Rangers when she had the chance, and not just using her mind control on everyone. And, of course, the biggest idiot of the series was Leonardo, as he was named Biggest Idiot 5 times. This will be the New Way's legacy. Splinter was close at being named Biggest Idiot 4 times, and Mikey came in 3rd with 3. Yep, despite having all those brain-dead moments, Leo's overall idiocy usually topped them. He's also supposed to be the leader and the most sound mind of the Turtles, and in this series, he was anything but. And yes, despite often being labeled the worst thing about this series, Venus managed to escape without getting one Biggest Idiot award. Her character was treated unfairly in the show, and that ended up being reflected in reality. Now, yes, she was a bit overpowered with the magic towards the beginning, but after that, she was really just the only sane one left with a bunch of drooling asswipes. And with this crossover covered, we have survived the Next Mutation, but just barely.
And a very hot princess. As for me, how could we fight against ladies as pretty as you two?
What a swing!